Hello, welcome back to Learn Economia. In this video, we are going to look at investment function. Having discussed about the consumption function, in this video we'll be discussing the investment function in detail. Before that, let me give you an intro of myself. I'm working as the head in charge of Department of Economics in one of the reputed government-aided colleges under the University of Kerala, and I am a PhD holder, and also I have secured first rank in both BA as well as MA Economics. Also, I would like to add that I have qualified NET examination conducted by UGC thrice and JRF examination conducted by UGC. I mean, it's a common examination. NET and JRF both are a single examination. So I have qualified for both UGC NET as well as JRF in the arena of economics. Now, coming back to the topic of discussion, that is investment function. So before understanding the investment function as such, just understand what investment is. So the investment, the term, it means that a purchase of stocks and shares or debentures or government bonds, equities, etc. So as per Keynes, it is only financial investment that, or not real investment, that gains importance. Okay. So real investment when it financial investment, when it comes to financial investment, we have to understand that this type of investment does not result in an addition to the stock of real capital of the nation. As per Keynes, investment includes expenditure on capital investment as well. Now, having understood what investment is, let's go to investment function. Now, investment is actually a function of many factors. So here we are focusing upon the relationship between interest rate and investment, how interest rate is influencing investment. So how interest rate becomes a determinant of investment, or how investment depends upon interest rate. So we are looking into that. So in this case, we could see that there is a functional and inverse relationship between the rate of interest and investment. The investment function is a function when you look at the relationship between investment and interest rate. You can see that if you depict that in the form of a diagram, you could see that the curve slopes downward, and here I is a function of R. In this case, I is investment, which is a dependent variable, and R is the rate of interest, which is an independent variable. Now coming to the types of investment, we have basically two types of investment: the autonomous investment and induced investment. Coming to the details of autonomous investment, we can see that this is a type of investment that is not dependent upon your income, or it is not dependent upon your income if you are referring to personal income, and that is not dependent upon the national income if you are referring to a nation. Okay. Now this autonomous investment is mainly done with a welfare motive and not for making any kind of profit. For example, construction of roads, bridges, construction of schools, charitable houses, etc. all these belong to autonomous investment, because all these are done just for the welfare motive, and it is not aimed at making any profit. And in autonomous investment is not affected by rise in raw materials or wages of workers, etc. Now essential, and this autonomous investment is very much essential to the development of a nation, and as a result, it is very much important to go for autonomous investment, and this is basically done by the government. Now coming to the details of autonomous investment, it's very important to note that basically during these times of depression and all, it is very much keen and it is very much important for the government to undertake autonomous investment, because during depression and recessions and all, private individuals or private investment won't be very active, or so these people might not be interested in making any kind of investment in the economy. Even if the interest rate is very low very low, that won't help the people to go for investment. So as a result, what happens is that investment in the economy would be very less or very low. So in this case, in this scenario, it is very much important for the government to go for investment, which is known as the autonomous investment. And this autonomous investment expenditure and capital formation is independent of your level of income, rate of interest, or rate of profit. This investment is independent of your economic activity or the economic activity of the nation. And autonomous investment, since it is not dependent upon your income, or since it is not dependent upon the income of a nation, this investment is known as income inelastic investment. And also the volume of autonomous investment would be same at all levels of your income, because it is independent of your income, right? Now the autonomous investment curve, here we could see that it is horizontal and parallel to x-axis, because when you measure your income or the income of a nation on the x-axis and investment on the y-axis, you can see that since investment is independent of your income, this remains same at all levels of income. Now during the times of depression and all, the government tried to boost the autonomous investment, and thus autonomous investment is one of the key concepts of welfare economics. And also government makes autonomous investment mainly because to meet the welfare consideration. Now, having discussed autonomous investment, let's come to the other type of investment, which is the induced investment. And this kind of investment expenditure is done on fixed assets and stocks which are required when the level of income and demand in the economy goes up. So this in kind of investment or the induced investment, as against the case of autonomous investment, this is highly motivated by profit. So it is out of your profit motive that you go for induced investment, and also it's a positive function of your income. When your income increases, you go for more and more induced investment, and vice versa. The relationship between national income and induced investment as a result is considered to be positive. So in this figure as well, you could see that it's a positive slope line. When you measure your national income on x-axis and investment on y-axis, you could see that you will be getting a positive slope line, because when your income increases, or when the income of a nation increases, you go for more and more investment. Now just understand the difference between autonomous investment and induced investment. From this table you will be able to understand this difference. And it is in this here, autonomous investment is not that much planned, because you cannot predict any depression or recession sometimes. So it is independent of the economic scenario, but as in the case of induced investment, here it is planned. You make plans regarding how to make induced investment and all. Secondly, we could see that autonomous investment, when it becomes income inelastic, the induced investment become income elastic, because it's a positive function of your income. And autonomous investment is done for welfare motive, whereas induced investment is done with a profit motive. Now coming to the determinants of an investment function, or here you could see that as per classical economists, investment depend exclusively on rate of interest, but in reality we know that investment depends not only on your interest rate, but also many other factors influence your investment decision. So there have been many other factors like rate of interest, level of uncertainty, political environment, rate of growth of population, stock of capital goods, etc. So from this you could understand that rate of interest is not the only factor that influence your investment decision. There have been many other factors as well. So not only this, there have been other factors like necessity of new products, level of your income, inventions, innovations, consumer demand, policy of the state, availability of capital, liquid assets of the investors, etc. So when classical economists, they have focused upon the rate of interest only. Keynes contended that business expectations and profit are very much important when it comes to your investment decisions. So that's why he has introduced another concept known as the marginal efficiency of capital. So he says that as per Keynes, along with the rate of interest, marginal efficiency of capital too would influence your investment decision. And private investment is considered to be an increase in the capital stock such as buying a factory or a mission. And here the marginal efficiency of capital states that rate of return on investment project. Specifically, you can see that it refers to the annual percentage yield earned by last additional unit of capital used. If the marginal efficiency of capital is 5% and interest rate is 4%, then it is considered to be worth borrowing at 4% to get an expected increase in output of 5%, because your marginal efficiency is more than the rate of interest in the economy. Now coming to the relationship between the rate of interest and investment, you could see that higher interest rate reduce investment, because higher rates increase the cost of borrowing and require investment to have a higher rate of return to be profitable. As the real cost of borrowing rises, fewer investment projects would be profitable. So, for example, you could see that if the interest rate rise from 5% to 8%, then we get a fall in the amount of investment from 100 crore rupees to rupees 80 crore. If the interest rates have increased, then what happens is that it will tend to discourage investment because investment has a higher opportunity cost. With higher rates, what you would see is that it is very much expensive to borrow money from a bank because you have to pay higher and higher interest rate. So saving money in a bank gives a higher return, and then only you will be interested to go to bank and keep your savings there in the savings account. Therefore, using savings to finance investment has a very high opportunity cost, which depends upon your interest payments. So whether you have a high interest rate or low interest rate in the economy. If the interest rates rise, firms will need to gain a better rate of return to justify the cost of borrowing using your savings. Now coming to the marginal efficiency of capital assets. So this concept is introduced by Keynes, as we have discussed earlier. Towards in 1936 he has introduced this concept, and this is considered to be an important determinant of your rate of investment along with the interest rate in the economy. And marginal efficiency of capital is expected profitability of the additional capital asset, and this is defined as the highest rate of return of the expected cost from the additional unit of capital asset. And it is the rate of discount which makes the discounted present value of expected income stream equal to your cost of capital. So MEC actually depends upon two factors. First of all, the prospective yield from capital asset and the supply price of capital asset. So here you would see the factors affecting MEC. There are considered to be three main factors influencing your MEC, like the cost of capital asset, the expected rate of return, and also the market rate of interest. Now coming to the short run factors influencing your MEC. So first is the demand for the product. If the market for a particular product is expected to grow, then what happens is that the rate of return from investment will be high. Now, if the entrepreneurs expect a fall in the demand for goods and a rise in cost, then the investment would decline. That's it. And the secondly, we have liquid assets, that it says that the entrepreneurs are holding a large volume of their working capital and they can take advantage of the investment opportunity that would come in their own way. So the MEC will be very high in this case, and in the case of sudden changes in income, you would see that the MEC is influenced by sudden changes in income, and if the business community gets windfall profits or tax concession, the MEC will be high and hence the investment would go up in the country. On the other hand, MEC falls with the decrease in income. Coming to the current rate of investment, here you will see that if a particular industry much investment has already taken place, and the rate of investment currently going on in that industry is also very large, then the marginal efficiency capital will be low. Coming to the waves of optimism and pessimism, you would see that if businessmen are optimistic about their future, then MEC would be high and vice versa. Now coming to the long run factors, we have population growth rate, technological progress, etc. influencing your investment. So coming to the population growth rate, you could see that a rapid rise in the growth of population would increase MEC, and a slowing down of its growth would discourage investment, and this would reduce the MEC. And coming to technological progress, you could see that inventions and technological improvements encourage investment in various projects and increase marginal efficiency of capital. Now we have a monetary and fiscal policies like cheap money policy and liberal tax policy would give a way for greater profit margin and making MEC to go high. And then political environment says that political stability, smooth administration, etc. will help to improve MEC. Coming to resource availability, cheap and abundant supply of natural resources would help to enhance your MEC. Now coming to the marginal efficiency of investment, and so this is a bit different from your marginal efficiency of capital, MEI. It is the expected rate of return on investment as additional units of investment are made under specified conditions and over a period of time. When the cost of borrowing is high, businesses are less motivated to borrow money and make investment on different projects because you have to pay a very high borrowing cost, and this would reduce your profit margin. Now coming to the difference between the marginal efficiency of capital and the marginal efficiency of investment, you could see that marginal efficiency of capital is based on a supply price of capital, whereas marginal efficiency of investment is based on the induced change in the price due to change in the demand for capital. And MEC represents the rate of return on all successive units of capital without regard to existing capital, whereas MEI shows the rate of return on just those use of capital goods over and above the existing capital stock. MEC, when it's taken on the x-axis, here the amount of investment is taken on the x-axis in the case of MEI. When MEC is a stock concept, MEI is a flow concept, and MEC determines the optimum capital stock in an economy at each level of interest rate, whereas in the case of MEI, it determines the net investment of the economy at each interest rate given the capital stock in the economy. Now coming to the concept of MEC, again we have seen that it's based on the supply price for capital, and also it represents the rate of return on all successive units of capital without regard to existing capital. It is taken on the x-axis on the diagram, it's a stock concept, and it determines the optimum capital stock in an economy at a given level of interest rate. And MEI, we have seen that it's a induced change in the price due to change in the demand, and it's a flow concept. It is measured on the in this case investment is measured on the x-axis, and it determines the net investment of the economy at each interest rate given the capital stock. So that's all. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe this channel for more videos. I have started a Telegram group and Telegram channel so that you can use the same to discuss your doubts, to make conceptual clarity and all. So you are very much welcome to use this group and channel. So with that, I would like to end. Please like, share and subscribe this channel for more videos. Thank you.